So good evening, everyone, once again. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you're coming from our General Honors College overview at 6, welcome back. My name is Chantel Smith, and I'm the Coordinator of Recruitment and Programming for the Honors College here at the University of Maryland. Tonight, we'll be going over the Design, Cultures, and Creativity Living Learning Program, which will be presented by Dr. Jason Foreman and Dr. Jessica Liu. Also joining us in the chat area are Dr. Jenny Lang, the Associate Director of Admissions, Ariel Alston, the Recruitment and Programming Graduate Assistant, and a number of our current Design, Cultures, and Creativity, aka DCC students. This presentation will last about 10 to 15 minutes, but will be available to answer questions throughout the time until about 8 p.m. Please keep your sound muted for the duration of this chat. Also, please make sure that you send your questions to everyone in the chat room so we can all see the questions and answers. If we miss answering your question, please just ask it again. And keep in mind, this presentation will be recorded. So if you do not want to be on camera, just please turn your cameras off at this time. We'll also provide contact information at the end, just in case you have any additional questions later. Without further ado, I want to take a moment to introduce our honors ambassadors that are here, our current students, and then we'll pass it over to Dr. Foreman and Dr. Liu. So can we start with Julia?
Yeah, hi, I'm Julia. I'm a current freshman at UMD, and I'm majoring in finance within the Smith School of Business. So if anybody has any questions about any of that or what it's like to do DCC virtual, you can definitely let me or SAPS know.
Thanks so much. And I probably should have said that, say thank you for saying your major and stuff. So if you guys could just say your major, that'd be awesome. And then what year you are in school. Kyle?
Sorry, I was having some internet issues.
Oh, you're fine.
What was I supposed to do again?
Oh yeah, just say what your major is and what year you are.
Okay. I'm a mechanical engineering major. I'm a junior, so I am currently not in the DCC program anymore. I got my certificate in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Lauren?
Hello, sorry, I'm also a little bit late. I also had internet problems. My name is Lauren. I am a senior mechanical engineering major. I'm double minoring in sustainability and Spanish, and I came into college undecided. So if you have any questions about what that process is like, please let me know. I'd love to connect. Welcome to DCC.
Awesome. And we have Sabina here.
Yeah, hi. I'm Sabs or Sabina. I'm a government politics major with an international relations concentration. I'm a first year freshman at UMD and DCC. I live at home and I'm minoring in French and Middle Eastern studies and probably Arabic.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Dr. Foreman, Dr. Liu.
All right, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining us this evening. So my name's Jason Foreman. I've been a part of DCC since it was founded in 2010. So it brought me to the University of Maryland. And I'm the director of the program, and I'll hand it over to Jessica to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jason. My name is Jessica. I'm the Associate Director of DCC. I've actually only been with the program now for almost 2 years, so it's my second full year. I, though, joined DCC from the University of Maryland, where I received my PhD. So I've actually been teaching at the College Park campus since 2011. So 10-year anniversary coming up for me.
Indeed. All right. So today I wanted to go over what DCC is and give you a sense of the program if you were to join it. And we'll be able to answer any questions you have as the presentation goes along. So DCC, Design, Cultures, and Creativity, it has a name that is maybe the most vague and nebulous of all the Honors College programs. So I wanted to give you a sense of what DCC actually is. DCC fosters a really broad, open, collaborative social environment where we encourage students to study design, social context, creative practices. Really, we are makers and thinkers. So we approach academia through the idea that by doing something in a hands-on kind of way, you get to ask new questions about that thing. When you're approaching a question or a problem and you explore it through hands-on creation, it unlocks new ways of seeing that problem and new innovative approaches to how you can actually approach it. And what we're really interested in is thinking about how design is everywhere. So our name is super broad. We are, design, which could be graphic design, fashion design, engineering design, could be interface design. So what do we focus on? We really approach design broadly. We see design everywhere. Design is in every human interaction that we have. It's a part of your everyday life. Every encounter you have with any kind of system or another human being involves design. Design often recedes into the background. We don't often notice it. We just interact with it. Part of our job in our program is to notice it, to analyze it, to pull back a little bit and say, design is all around us. It shapes how we interact and how we understand ourselves in the world. And if we look at it, we can see, some things are actually designed not well. Some things are designed to even promote inequality or to create frustrating circumstances or to create challenges and problems rather than solve them. If we can look at bad design, we can say we can do this better, actually. We can design the world to be better and to be a better place. So many of our students come and join us and they're very interested in the social impacts that they can have through design. So we are facing so many interesting challenges as a society at this moment in time. And we believe that DCC students can uniquely solve these challenges because our program ultimately brings together people with different skill sets. We bring together people with different backgrounds, and we bring together people with different perspectives all together to tackle these major challenges. We believe that you don't major with us in DCC. You're majoring in something unique. We bring in students from 47 different majors across campus. So it's a really interdisciplinary environment. In your major, you're going to learn a very particular skill set. And you don't major with us. Instead, you get to collaborate with different majors. And so you get these people together with all these different backgrounds and skill sets. And this creates the conditions to really solve some of these major challenges in the world. And I'll pass it over to Jessica to talk about that context of living and learning.
Yeah, so it is important to note that we are a living learning program and we take that very seriously. So everything Jason's been talking about, kind of fostering this really collaborative, interdisciplinary environment translates outside and beyond the classroom. So beyond just what you learn in DCC classes and working with DCC faculty, we find it really important that you are also living and learning alongside your peers. So the same environment that we work to cultivate in the classroom, we also work to cultivate in the hallways of our residence hall. So the majority of our students do live together in Prince Frederick Hall on campus, and we can talk more about the residence hall if you have questions. While we do have students every year that commute or live off campus, the majority of our students also believe it is important to live together, right? So it's not just that you are in the classroom sitting next to someone of a different major with a different background, different skill set, but also that when you're working on homework or you're talking about current events or you're just developing your hobbies, if you walk out into the hallway, the room next door has someone else who has a completely different perspective, has a different skill set to bring to the conversation or what it is that you're working on or trying to figure out. So we take that really seriously, that it's not just about the classroom that you learn in, but the residence hall you live in, the people you surround yourselves with, and also the kind of perspective you're able to gain through that as well.
Yeah, so DCC and the Honors College in general creates a small campus or small college feel on a large research university. And that's really what drew me to come to the University of Maryland to begin with, and why I've stayed here, is that I think it's really a unique space to learn in. I came from UCLA where I did my PhD, and UCLA, as opposed to University of Maryland, was very siloed. When you studied one thing, you were really in that building with those people. And for me, working at University of Maryland, and this is true for DCC students as well, working across departments with and collaborating with people all across campus is really built into the DNA of the University of Maryland. And I really love that aspect of it. And I also think that the program itself, DCC, is unique in the nation. You will not find another program like DCC in terms of the living, learning nature of it, where you're going to develop really close ties with your faculty, and we get to know you better than even your professors in your major department often. and you will get to build a community from day one, the moment you walk onto campus. And being able to study design and creativity within a social context with people from a range of majors and backgrounds, there's just nothing like it in the US. So I've really been attracted to that as well. To give you a sense of the kinds of work you'll do with us if you join DCC in the fall, one of the freshmen a couple of years ago said, you should tell the future students what we actually do in the fall of freshman year in DCC 105. So I wanted to give you a sense. Fall freshman year, you walk onto campus, you're going to take a class with me. I lead a lecture where all freshmen are together. We bring in about 60 students a year or so, between 60 and 70. The current freshman class is 60 people large, and that cohort of students all meet together, and we study kind of a range of things. So I wanted to give you the sense of what this is. The first of 5 core classes that you take in DCC, and I'll kind of walk you through those as well. But the idea essentially behind DCC 105 that you take in the first class you take with us is that ideas are paired with hands-on exploration of those ideas. So again, we believe that design is all around us. And again, design can mean many things to many people. So we begin actually with graphic design. We talk about how design elements and principles are really built into every kind of design you do, whether it be the work in your engineering class, or if you go out and do architecture, or even in business. Graphic design and the principles that we learn just at the basics are really foundational for a lot of that. The students then have to go out and decide, what does design mean for them? And they create a print poster of what those designs are and what design means to them, and kind of the range of ways that design can be understood. So we think about design being everywhere, and good design versus frustrating design, how we can intervene, and then define it for yourself. So we take these ideas of what design means and express them through graphic design. We then move on to looking at interaction design, user experience design, and the students go and find a really bad design in the world and redo it, make it better. The first year we did this, we redesigned the DC Metro interface, which is an awful interface. It's like one of the worst things. If you live in the DC Metro area, you know the Smart Trip card kiosk is horribly designed. So the students redesigned it that year and came up with prototypes for what that could look like. Last year, there was a ton of really interesting, or this past fall, a ton of interesting interface designs with a lot focused on the University of Maryland's interfaces, fixing the course registration system. Some were about group chat. And we also had some that were designing interfaces for the future, such as what kind of interfaces you might have for flying autonomous vehicles, for example. What would those look like? So we look at interaction design, and then we move from design as a big category into looking at culture. And we define these terms throughout the fall. What are the approaches to this? So we think about culture as being our identities, where we are thinking about our histories, our cultures, the structures that shape us as individuals and communities. Who are we? And how does design impact who we are as communities and cultures? And one of the things we do is identify our cultures and then think about ways that design can help solve a challenging problem or question that our cultures might face, whether it be issues of environmental sustainability or issues of gun violence, educational access, LGBTQ equality, gender rights, racial violence. What can design do to intervene and make help solve some of these problems, or at least move us forward towards solutions? So students come up with pitches for creating a design project that gets us to think about ways that design can help solve some of the problems within our cultures. We talk about, within the culture section, issues of things like algorithmic bias and racism that's kind of built into the code of the everyday interfaces we interact with. And then we move into thinking about documentation and how we, within our cultures, are documenting so much around us. What are the impacts, for example, of every single person in this chat having a camera in their pocket. It's just the ramifications of everyone having a mode of documentation at that scale are pretty profound. So what we do is then we take those ideas and the students create films that are shot entirely on their cell phones to just tap into the power of the mobile device and the transformations that are happening because we end this section by looking at the digital divide and thinking about issues of access, which in the time of COVID in the United States and around the world is just such a massive, challenging problem. And the students, we have a hackathon where students are trying to solve digital divide for a particular community that they are that they're presented with that day. We finished the semester by looking at creativity, and we look at the ways that creativity plays roles in innovation, especially in your majors. All of your majors have creativity kind of built into their DNA as well. And we tap into that and say, in what ways does creativity apply to everything that you do? And then also one of the things that we will do in the semester is look at methods for being creative. Creativity is not about sort of the spark of inspiration. Instead, creativity is about creating the circumstances for inspiration, not simply just sort of waking up and taking that blank canvas and doing something beautiful with it. Instead, we give you the techniques to be more creative people, whether it be in your major or as an artist and a designer. So this is what we do in the fall semester. From there, every course then sort of takes that and breaks it down even further. So it starts with these big picture questions and then gets more and more focused as the semesters go along. And I'll hand it over to Jessica. I think you're muted.
Thanks. So I can talk a little bit more about the other courses that you will take or be possibly exposed to throughout your time in DCC. The one caveat I'll say is that the courses in DCC shift all the time. So from year to year, they might change. So I'm about to drop a link in the chat. I know the chat has been really active, and I want to thank our ambassadors and Jenny and Chantel for helping us answer these questions as Jason and I have been talking. But there's been a lot of conversation already about the different types of courses you can take in DCC. The link I just dropped, if you scroll to the bottom, you will see links for courses that we've taught during this academic year, 2020 to 2021. That's not necessarily static. So next year we might have a whole different slate of courses. We work really hard to bring in new faculty into the program. Those faculty come from different disciplines, different departments all over campus. And we try to make a conscious effort to actually bring in faculty that speak to the interests of each individual DCC class. So our class right now, our freshman class is called the Lambda class. We use the Greek alphabet to name our classes. Next year's class of freshmen will be the Mu class. And they'll have a completely different personality, different slate of interests. And so we will work hard to bring faculty into the program that actually align with your interests. But that being said, this past year, we've had a really exciting kind of array of courses. So like Jason said, after 105, you move forward in the program, and the first kind of step after 105 is to break down and go deeper with some of the ideas, the concepts, the theories, the approaches to design and creativity that might interest you. So your second semester of your freshman year, you'll have at least 4 choices. So we always make sure there's a variety of choices available to you. This semester, the courses available to our freshman class are Legacies of Black Creatives, which is the course I'm teaching. There's also Internet of Evil, which is a returning class. It's really, really popular. It's taught by a professor from the College of Information Science, the School of Information. I'm going to mess this up. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip that. And then we also have a new class from a professor in theater and performance studies. And he is exploring virtual performance, right? So especially now when we talk about performing theater and also just being live in a virtual space. He's kind of breaking that down, and it's really exciting. It's become a really popular class as well. And another returning class we have this year is Digital Feminisms, and that's taught by one of our core DCC faculty, Dr. Alexis Lothian from Women's Studies. So again, 4 options, really varied as far as the different topics that you would cover. And if you visit that link that I dropped in the chat, you can read more about each of those courses. When you return to DCC for your sophomore year, your second year, you'll take 3 courses throughout your sophomore year. The first one you'll take is the next one in the sequence. You move from kind of grappling more deeply with ideas and concepts and approaches, and you start doing even more hands-on making than you did during your first year. So we really like to give you even more opportunities to start building, designing, really getting hands-on with creative expression. So this past year, we had courses in sound cultures for those of you who are really interested in sound, music, and audio expression. We had a course on the history of the book. I taught a course on data modeling, using digital methods to model interesting data, both computational and numeric, but also humanities, kind of human focused qualitative data. And then we had another course as well. We have a really popular returning course on innovations in images and technology, which tends to come back around over and over again because we always have students who are interested in that. So again, you always have options, always a minimum of 4 each semester, again, to kind of speak to the variety of interests we have in DCC. The other courses you'll take your sophomore year revolve around the capstone project that you complete. It's kind of the culmination of your time in DCC, and we can obviously take questions about this. We can talk more about it. But throughout your sophomore year, you kind of bring together everything you've learned throughout the DCC curriculum and kind of the evolution you've experienced already as a young adult, as a young maker, young designer, and you conceive of your own project from start to finish. So with our support, we help you draft a proposal to kind of envision the whole project. And then in the second semester of your sophomore year, you have a semester-long class that serves to support you executing your vision, right? So some students choose to work in pairs, some students work in small teams, many students work individually to dream up anything that they want to do. Usually, obviously, in the area of their own creative expression, whatever mode or medium of creativity they enjoy, maybe tackling a social problem, some sort of issue that arises in their field or their chosen profession or their anticipated career. But many students also do something that's deeply personal. But the idea is that after 2 years or kind of at the end of your 2 years in DCC, you walk out of the program with a project entirely of your own design. And it's something we hope that you carry forward, whether it's professionally, academically, or personally, it's something that you take forward in your life. The other credits that kind of fill out the DCC curriculum are a study abroad, an internship, or an independent study. We feel that those are really important to helping you kind of cultivate your own sense of being in the world. Again, whether that's kind of a more professional focus for you, or it's about personal growth, or just about expanding your academic or extracurricular interests, we find that study abroad, internship, and independent studies really help you round out your time in DCC. Some of you had some questions in the chat about making this all fit. It can sound really overwhelming as far as the number of credits involved in DCC. And I know many of you are extremely well-rounded. You're anticipating really tough majors or double majors or multiple minors. And that is true of most of our students in DCC. So DCC students juggle a lot. And one of the ways this really works well is it's usually just one DCC course a semester, except for one where you have an extra 1 credit course. And our DCC courses satisfy gen ed requirements. So your second course in the DCC trajectory, your freshman year, the second semester, it satisfies your humanities gen ed requirements. In the second year, those courses satisfy the scholarship and practice gen ed requirements. So there's a way to kind of like double dip and satisfy the requirements of your major while you're also moving through the DCC curriculum. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty more questions about coursework and everything like that. We're happy to take those later. And I know that you guys are working hard in the chat to answer those questions. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that. Thanks for the great questions as well. A couple of other things, since we are a living and learning program, we, not only what we do in the classroom, but what we do outside of the classroom is just as important. We invest so much energy into creating events that support the curriculum and support the community. One way I phrase this to people who are learning about living and learning communities, especially DCC, is I tell them, for DCC, we study design and creativity, but almost regardless of what we study, the most important thing is the community that comes together. And so we try to generate events that support that community. And it's a really inclusive community. It's a space for people from all backgrounds to feel at home and like they've got their people. And I tell people year after year that DCC every year just brings in really good human beings into the program. You'll be surrounded by people you like and people who support you. And I don't know what the secret sauce is for that, to be honest, but just year after year, I just love working with these people, and they're just good human beings to be around. So we build out programming that and events that help support that community. And one of the things we do as well that you'll do in your freshman year into your sophomore year, if you're interested, is we connect the freshmen with former students through design camps to kind of create a mentorship relationship with former students. These are the design camps we had in the fall, such as CAD and 3D printing, generative art. I did one, I led one myself on how to do portraits in Adobe Illustrator. You have the full Adobe Creative Suite at the University of Maryland for free. We did digital storytelling, video editing, origami, and Arduino. So those were some of the ones that we did where we connected current students with alumni to do those kinds of things. We've done a range of different design camps and workshops on like mobile app prototyping, music composition. We have a sound studio. So if you're a musician, you can come. Every year we have capstone projects that are full-length albums, for example, that are recorded in our sound studio. We've done things like bookbinding. We've done intro to programming for people who just want sort of the basics of code, 3D printing again, different kinds of editing, Photoshop, how to do graphic design. We even do things like creating stained glass windows, learn to solder by making a stained glass window, for example, are some of the things that we've done when we've been in person, which we anticipate doing in the fall as well. Our students are really competitive for internships and later moving on into jobs because they have a unique skill set. They think across ideas and across disciplines, and they work collaboratively. And I and Jessica and your faculty within DCC, we're writing you amazing letters of recommendation to get these internships and eventually maybe go on to grad school or get into really competitive jobs. One alum is Alicia Lowe, who in that freshman class fall semester was studying the digital divide, and she totally changed her major and decided to go into tech policy. So she just graduated from Harvard Law School, and she's pursuing a degree as a lawyer, or she's pursuing a career as a lawyer, pursuing tech policy for equality and tech justice. Lily Bell Davis was an economics major at the University of Maryland and came into DCC and learned from all the people in her hallway, all these, digital skills that she had never learned herself. And then after her freshman year, applied to work as an intern at Google in Northern California. And that's a picture of her here at Google, where she worked on the social media team there. She went back a second year in her sophomore year for another internship with Google. She then spent her junior year studying abroad at the London School of Economics and then went on to Columbia Law School after that. And really, it starts at the foundation of working in an interdisciplinary environment with people who push your ideas and give you new skill sets moving forward. Some people were asking about the capstone projects, the kinds of work that people do, and I wanted to give you a quick overview of what they've done in the past. I'll highlight a couple of award-winning capstones. This project is by Divya and Kelly, where they are both computer scientists, and they decided to, and they're artists as well. This is kind of a common theme that you'll see where even if you're a STEM major, you often have an arts interest or skill set that you're bringing into DCC. And they love working on webcomics. They built out this webcomic with a character named Pixel, who is a Black woman computer scientist who has a magical ability. Whenever she codes something, it actually materializes in the real world. And so they were basically teaching young women, especially women of color in middle schools, a little bit about coding languages through the character of Pixel in their webcomic. This is Emily Sand. She created an RGB game about personality types, where you take sort of those Myers-Briggs kinds of tests to figure out what sort of personality you are. And when you took that test and it determined what personality you were, that determined your character. And then the decisions along the way within the game were shaped by these ideas of personality tests and different personalities. This is Ben Graney Green, who was an aerospace engineering student. and you can see him walking around with his computer. This helmet was called Soundwear, which was sort of based on the idea of like, if you had an Instagram filter for sound, what would that look like? How would you build that? And he created this sound interface that then went on to arts festivals where he presented it. Galia was a neuroscience psychology double major, and she decided to create she built her own EEG machine to measure brain waves, and based on those brain waves, the output was generative art. So your brain waves alone, as you sort of thought about answers to questions, created artwork that you could then take away with you. Tyler Holloman, who's a chemical engineering major, designed a board game that was based on racism, especially like thinking about structural racism and microaggressions and how you could play like an altered version of Monopoly that highlighted the inequalities of race in the United States. This is Jennifer Liu's piece right in the center here, as well as the blanket here. She was creating an art installation that we premiered at the Art Museum here at the University of Maryland on surveillance. You could walk into the box and watch people, and it was sort of a commentary on watching and surveillance and design of surveillance. And the blanket that she knitted, you could hide under as well, and see out and see people when they couldn't see you. And so she was kind of playing with an arts project that explored surveillance and visibility. A architecture student partnered with an engineer to produce a solar charging station, which is in front of our building here. And it is meant so you could go and sit at this bench and plug in your devices, and they're very interested in sustainability. Like, could you develop a space for people to sit and talk while they charge their devices in a sustainable way? And then we've had students as well work on like thinking about engineering problems for filmmaking and creating different kinds of crane systems for shooting interesting shots and developing these. This was 3D printed for creating unique film for this kind of work. So the kind of work you can do in your capstone project is just wildly different. And it's so beautiful to see. And we will announce for those admitted students who are interested, in May, we have our capstone fair, which is going to be on Zoom this year. So you can come and see some of these projects if you want to see this year's work as well. And I'll hand it over to Jessica for this last little bit here.
Thanks, Jason. So I've been watching the chat, jumping in when I can, and I'm noticing a lot of students are asking, is our engineers a good fit for DCC? Are students who are majoring in math a good fit for DCC? So I do want to reiterate, we're an incredibly interdisciplinary program. Like Jason said, we typically bring in students historically from 47 different majors across campus. And that's something we're really proud of. Again, that's a key part of what we've built with this program is students of a variety of different skill sets and interests. We'd like to talk a little bit more about kind of then what really sets a DCC student apart as far as like what's the common thread. Jason, like Jason said, there's this secret sauce. There's something about DCC students that despite the variety of different interests and backgrounds and experiences you all have, there's something common that our DCC students share. So based on what we've just observed as kind of the director and associate director of this program, Jason and I noticed a few things about DCC students. So if this is something that resonates strong with you, DCC might be a great fit. So the first thing we've noticed is that DCC students are always incredibly, incredibly curious. And it's not just that DC students are interested in a lot of things, it's that DC students have intentionally invested themselves in a variety of different activities, particularly usually engaged in some sort of creative modes of expression, right? So for a lot of students, it's art, it's painting, it's sculpture. Other students, it's music. Other students are engaged in, political endeavors and leadership opportunities. We're looking always for very, very well-rounded students. It's easy for students to say, I'm interested in technology, I'm interested in design, but for students who have really invested themselves in extracurricular activities that really demonstrate that commitment, that's been a real key kind of common thread among our most successful, thriving students. Again, really interdisciplinary. So again, I know you're coming into Maryland and a lot of you have really specific goals and ideas about what kind of professions and careers you want to pursue. And like Jason said, you're going to get that kind of job training, you know, that skill set from your major. But are you also interested in other things beyond that major? And again, not just interested, are you invested? Like, are you curious and eager and excited to learn other things outside of your chosen area of expertise, right? Another thing we found, again, really important is that creativity is really part of your everyday life. Again, so it's not like I used to paint when I was 4, or I played in the orchestra for a year, you know, to fulfill a high school requirement. Is creative expression a part of your everyday experience? Is it something that you seek out, again, to get that real well-rounded experience, and also to really bring something into the program and actually find community with your peers? We also find that our students value diversity, not just in their backgrounds, but also of ideas, right? Being very open-minded and being very willing, not just willing, right? Again, but excited to connect with other people that they might not have a lot in common with, right? Actually willing to kind of seek out those experiences for growth and transformation, because that's the other big thing for us, is that we tend to find that DC students share the same value that Jason and I share, which is that education, and particularly your college experience, is a real chance for you to transform and to grow and evolve it as a human being, right? So if you are kind of approaching Maryland or any college or university as a place where you just get ready for your job, DCC might actually not be the best fit for you. But if you're ready to kind of dive into your college experience as a place, as an opportunity to build community, meet new people, and really grow as a human being, DCC might be a good fit, okay? We actually think it's really important, you know, Jason and I both went through college, you know, we graduated, we end up in grad school. We've had very different experiences. Both Jason and I have had experienced both small colleges and also large universities. And so both of us have kind of this perspective, and we know that it's important for you to end up in the right place for you as a human being. And so we don't want you to come to DCC if it's really not the best place for you. Like, we want you to end up in the right LLP for you, for your interests, for what you're looking for out of your college experience. So again, if what you're looking for out of your college experience is not just, you know, getting the degree, you know, for the career you want, and kind of passing your classes and getting good grades, DCC is about a lot more than that. It's kind of a whole being experience, and we've worked really hard to build that. So if this sounds like it resonates with you, if this sounds like what you're looking for in a program, when you apply and when you preference the different LLPs, it's really, really important that you let us know kind of where you're at, what you're thinking, and why DCC really sounds like the place for you. So there's an opportunity on your preferencing form when you rank the LLPs to leave a blurb, a few sentences to really tell us. We have such kind of limited avenues to learn about you. And so it's really important that you kind of take advantage of that and let us know why DCC is a great fit for you. Because we, like I said, we really want to always be bringing in these kind of secret sauce students that just magically somehow always end up in Prince Frederick with us every year. So I'll turn it back over to Jason. So he's going to kind of close this out for us.
Great. Yeah, and just building on that, you know, like Jessica said, the sort of typical DCC student is the one that wishes they could major in 10 different things when they're at the university, rather than like, I'm a computer scientist, I love coding, and everything else is kind of boring. You know, instead it's like, I wish I could just major in all these things. You know, how do I do it all? And DCC is a space where you can do a lot of that. So if you are interested in DCC, please leave, like Jessica said, the little sentence about why you're interested, and not only why you're interested in DCC, what you're bringing to DCC, sort of the skill sets that match the program. I think we had about 400 people preference us last year, around 400 for about 60. We have a class of 60 for that. So we really dig into these applications, and we're looking for the people who fit well with the program and are bringing you know, that skill set and that background and those interests to the program that are going to help enhance it. And you will join us in Prince Frederick Hall in the fall if you join us. And it's an awesome building. It's like a hotel. It's like I think, the best dorm on campus, and just a great community in that space. We have our lab in this space, so you can come down. And in the fall, we do have students there right now. Some are at home, some are in the building. Hopefully we'll all be there in the fall. And you can use our lab space and all the cool things we have in that space, or our sound studio. But really the thing that is most important is that as you're kind of thinking about schools as well, is there a space that fosters a deep sense of community and an experiential learning process that's going to address you as an individual and your sort of unique needs as it connects with other people and develops those relationships both with other students and other faculty who can really mentor you throughout your time here? Because again, higher education is not just about learning, it's about becoming your best self. So as you're thinking about what university to land at, that's should be such an important question you answer for yourself. What space am I going to thrive in? And where am I going to become my best self? Not just, I want to join that really prestigious program, but where can I become my best self? I think that is such a vital question, because these are years where you transform as a human being, and you need to be in a space that supports that and where you'll thrive. So please do feel free to reach out to us at any point of your process. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing now. At any point of the process, if you have questions, Jessica and I are here as resources. And we also have, Chantel, I think about 20 more minutes, right, for questions and answers. So we have time to continue answering your questions, but even beyond today, do feel free to reach out to us. Email is best since we're remote at the moment, but do feel free. We can also schedule, I have phone calls. We can chat with you as well if you have questions about either DCC or sort of the LLPs broadly. Again, I've been with the Honors College since 2010. So I feel like I know all the ins and outs of all the various programs. I'm happy to chat with you about honors at the University of Maryland sort of broadly as well. And for me, one of the things that is really important for me is I am not about recruiting people away from other spaces where they will thrive better. If you're going to come to the University of Maryland and join DCC, I want you to come and join us because it's where you fit and where it's the best fit for you. And I can give you a clear sense of the things that are great about the university or things that are struggling about the university. Maybe that school is better for your particular needs and experiences. And I'm happy to chat with you about any of that. So, and Chantel, are we doing mainly chat questions at the moment, or are people unmuting themselves or kind of raising hands in the participants tab?
Yep, so we're pretty much caught up on chat right now answering the questions, but if you see any that you feel you would like to address aloud, you can do so.
Great. Dae Young, yeah, you have your hand raised. You can go ahead if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just have a question. I was wondering what kinds of like community-based initiatives DCC specifically does or supports, maybe in like the College Park area or other areas in the DMV.
Great question. Yeah, community outreach has, been a key part of the ways that we think about who joins us in the future. Like what is the pipeline to come and join DCC? I'm a first generation college student myself. And the first time I stepped on a college campus, I remember this moment where we're all kind of ushered into this room, and we all came from this really poor neighborhood, and we went to So I grew up in Southern California. So we went to USC, which is this private, super expensive school. And they brought in this admissions counselor who then wrote on the board all of the costs involved to joining the University of Southern California. And we're all really poor students, so we're sitting there going, I guess I'm just never going to college. That's the only thing I remember from that space. So one of the things that we've done in DCC is to begin to think about over the last 4 or 5 years, how do we develop a pipeline for students like me and other students in Prince George's County or other students who don't see a pathway to college to see themselves in DCC, in the Honors College at the University of Maryland. We work with middle school in Prince George's County, Martin Luther King, and their AVID program. And they come and join, they work with our students for a day, for example. and learn about their capstone projects. And then Jessica is working with Turp Young Scholars. Did you want to mention that, what you're doing,
Sure.
sort of a trajectory from this summer onward with community outreach?
Yeah, this is something that's been in the works for a couple years now, and Jason has given me the opportunity now coming into DC to kind of run forward with some ideas that we've had. So the first step is this summer I'm teaching a Turp Young Scholars course, so that is open to high school students, right? But it's also going to be open to some undergraduate students at Maryland who are like outside of DCC, which is cool too. But that's kind of our first step of kind of offering a summer course that's open to high school students. Next summer, or possibly the summer after, of course, we'd like to get it on the ground as soon as we can. Our plan is to actually launch a summer institute. So it'd either be a 1 or 2 week thing, depending on how much funding we can secure. Because it's important to us, like Jason said, to be as inclusive as possible and really kind of realize these opportunities for students who might not have considered college or did not see it in the cards. So we'd like to be fully funded for all of the high school and potentially middle school students who might apply to a summer institute. Again, a 1 or 2 year experience, 1 or 2 week experience where area students, again, from probably we'll start with Prince George's County first, middle schools and high schools would come to Prince Frederick Hall. They would live in their residence hall for 1 or 2 weeks during the duration of the institute and work alongside current DCC students to take a course or a series of courses over 1 to 2 weeks. So it might be single day workshops, or it might be a week-long course where you're really kind of hashing out the details, and we'd bring in faculty as well, obviously, from across campus to teach these courses, and it'd be a real opportunity for middle school and high school students to have that initial college experience, to live in the dorm, to actually start taking some classes, meeting some current students, and then of course have access to these resources, these tools, learn these skills and technologies. So we're really, really excited about this potential trajectory. It's something we're working really hard on. So again, first step this summer, and hopefully this is something we might be able to announce next summer. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and one other project we've done, which was funded through the Office of Sustainability, relates to the question about planned obsolescence. We got a grant to do a community outreach project around planned obsolescence and e-waste, where we helped people, whether it be students, faculty, staff, or people in the local community, repair their mobile devices if they broke, like their screens or batteries. And we do this every year when we're in person. We didn't do it this year because we're not in person, but we teach people how to fix things and keep them out of landfills. And especially for people who their primary mode of digital engagement is a mobile device. If the screen cracks or it stops working, has low battery life, that's really detrimental for just your everyday work. So we worked with, we brought community people into our lab to fix their screens, and we paid for it. And just basically we worked with them. We actually taught them how to fix it rather than fix it for them, which we think is a really important mode of engagement when it comes to that, where we're not a fix-it service. We want you to have the empowerment to open up the iPhone and replace it. And it's just this transformative experience. Like, oh my God, I can do this. I can open it and fix it. I've been doing that for years now, holding onto these phones for a really long time through replacing them. So sustainability is a big part of what we do as well. And we reach out to the community around that as well. Sab, did you have something to contribute there too?
Yes, I did. I wanted to talk about like what it's like being a first year at home in DCC. I live about like 45 minutes from campus, and I've been able to go to campus a lot. I was actually there just this past weekend, and it's really like all the people are really, really awesome. Like it's like just like this smaller community within the university, within honors. And I was talking to Conlin, who I went to high school with. He's actually in here right now, so hi, Conlin. But it's just like this really amazing community that you'll be able to do the things that you want to do personally, like academically, and then also have people around you that are interested in things. Sorry, I'm saying this so badly, but like in high school, you're in classes with people who, ranging from people who don't care about the class to people who are mega caring. And in DCC and in honors in general, you're around the same type of peers as you, but in DCC, you're around people that are different from you, which I think is really important, being around people who are different from you. Like ACES is cybersecurity, so you're just gonna get like a bunch of the same major with ACES, but DCC, like I'm a government major, my friend Isha is a biochem major, and like it's really easy to make friends, even though I live at home. and I have no connection to the campus at all. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Great. Any other questions you have? If you want to raise your hand by clicking on participants at the bottom of the Zoom, you can unmute and ask, or you can ask in the chat as well. And then there's a question about sort of a pattern of companies or grad programs where students end up. And there is no pattern because every student is really pursuing kind of wildly different trajectories in their careers. And DCC supports that. So whether it be like Tyler Holloman, who did the race cards capstone project, just got into graduate programs for chemical engineering. We have another student who is doing a PhD program at Hopkins in public health, and then we have students doing engineering and arts programs, and then moving on to different companies. It's really all over the place. GCC becomes this springboard for you to do all kinds of different things, and we try to create an environment that supports that as much as possible.
We had a question earlier in the chat, and I know Jason might want to jump in on this as well, but someone asked about students who are undecided in their major or flexible in their major and how well might they fit into the DCC community. That is much more common than you might think. So I think it might be hard if you're surrounded by friends right now who know exactly what they want to do and they're really firmly committed to a major. It might feel like you're kind of missing something, or you might be doing surround and you're really, really not, right? So a lot of students, I wouldn't say a lot, but a lot of, we have a fair number of students who, even if they come in with a very firm idea of what they want to do, will change their major throughout their time, not only in DCC, but at the university. I actually just had, so I meet with DCC students all the time. And in the past week alone, I met with 3 sophomore students who are in the process of changing their major, right? And so it is really, really common, and it's not a problem anyway. So actually, if you are really feeling flexible in your major, you're not sure, you might actually find a very supportive environment in DCC. And I would venture a guess that actually being around so many different kind of multifaceted, multi-talented, really interdisciplinary people will expose you to conversations and experiences that would actually really help you kind of, again, like Jason was saying earlier, figure out the kind of person you want to be and also the kind of work in the world that you want to do. So that does not pose any sort of problem or hindrance to your DCC curriculum for sure. And I think actually the DCC community would really be a benefit to you. Jason, do you want to say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so in the fall semester, I meet with every student one-on-one in office hours, which is something I just instituted this past year and I'm keeping from here on out because it was so great. But I met with several students who were undecided, and I always began the meeting by saying, oh, I see that you're undecided. I just want to say, like, undecided students are my favorite because I feel like you're the most honest, because DCC students kind of want to explore things. And so many of them change their major. So even if they come in with a major, they about a quarter of them change it at some point. So many double majors, so many have really interesting minors as well. And what it looks like when you enter versus when you leave is very different. So I love the ones who come in as undecided because, like, yeah, I'm exploring. That's what I do, and I just appreciate that so much. So what I have also done is I'll say with those students, so what are you interested in? And they'll say, like, oh, I'm interested in architecture, or maybe like mechanical engineering. I can't really figure out which. And what I'll do is I'll put those students in touch with alumni who have majored in those things so they can get a better sense of what it's like to be a DCC student with those kinds of interests, majoring in that thing, so they can learn like what the career trajectories are, what it's like in that college or that department, what the workload is, if it's enjoyable, what kind of internships or projects you might work on. So we have a really rich, long, 10, 11 year set of students you can connect with. And I've known all of them, so I can connect you with these people and you can learn more about their major, their experiences, and then ultimately what they went on to do. Yeah, being undecided is great within our program, definitely.
So if anyone wants to raise their hand for a last minute question, We have about a few more minutes. In the meantime, if our lovely honors ambassadors, if you guys want to kind of just say what your favorite part of DCC has been thus far, that'll be awesome to kind of end the night with. Lauren, wonderful Lauren, let's go.
Yeah, I think I answered this in the chat, but honestly, I love DCC. It's great. I think my favorite part is the family, is our community, and kind of how my identity has shifted and how it's changed and how it has expanded while I've been in DCC and at UMD in college. So I guess some of my favorite memories have been really just hanging out with DCC people in the hallways, just talking, staying up really late, which went down a little bit as we got into more of our coursework, but just hanging out, doing like paint nights, going to the dining halls together, we bond over some kind of mediocre food, and just really just, yeah, hanging out during like soccer games, listening to music. There are a lot of jam sessions, and really just a lot of spontaneous like game nights and just hangouts.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Sabs?
Yeah, I can say that so far, academic-wise, I love my class I'm taking right now with Jessica, Legacies of Black Creatives. I think it's one of my favorite classes right now just because it's specific, and all my other I'm a freshman, so like all my other classes are pretty general. I'm not just saying this because she's my teacher and she grades my things. But also what Lauren was saying about the hallway, it's so strange. Like whenever I go to campus, I was just like sitting in the hallway all the time, like talking to like people, and then people walk by and they're like, oh hey, and then they stop and we all like talk in the hallway. And it's just like, and there's always something to talk about. It's so strange, but it's so fun. I like that a lot.
Thanks, Sabs. Julia?
Yeah, just hearing that made me jealous because I'm not on campus, but I just want to echo like what Sab said. Like this community is so great. Like I've taken classes with both Jason and Jessica, and they genuinely really care about your well-being as a person and just the community that you'll meet. Like UMD is a really big school, but like after your senior year in the summer when you're like transitioning, DCC gives you just that immediate community, and making friends is like a lot harder virtually, but DCC has given me that like immediate kind of community where I've just met like such great people already, even though I'm not even on campus.
Thanks so much, Julia. And last but not least, Kyle.
Pretty much the same as everyone else said. Like the classes are absolutely amazing. They're a lot of fun, but also the family that you make. Like I live in an apartment now. I'm not in Prince Frederick, but I still live with people that I met in DCC, and I'm still very close friends with a bunch of them. And yeah, like people were saying before, the hallways, I don't know what it's about them, but they're really fun. Like every Friday, once I got back from classes, me and my friends would just sit in the hallway and talk for like an hour. Just fun memories like that.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for just sharing your experiences. Jason, did you have anything else before I close out?
No, again, do just feel free to reach out to us. Any sort of aspect you have a question about when it comes to the program, we're happy to answer those, and even broader questions about the University of Maryland and kind of trying to decide which school might fit you best. Do feel free to reach out to Jessica or I. We're happy to help in that process in any way that we can. And congratulations again on your admittance to the Honors College. It's so competitive, but when you come in and join a small community like DCC, it is that family. And we look forward to working with some of you and looking at your applications if you decide to preference DCC. Jessica, anything else?
I'll just echo again, Jason and I are both here. I dropped both of our email addresses in the chat, so it's moving along, but go ahead and scroll up and grab both of those if you need us, if you want to ask any questions. And again, like Jason said, even if it's not specifically about DCC, both of us have been through this, and we are really committed to helping you make the decision that's right for you. And that's true of whether or not you become a DCC student or not. So again, congratulations on your acceptance. Also, congratulations on finishing out high school. I know it's not happening in the way you envisioned, but it is such a tremendous accomplishment especially because of what it is that you're enduring right now. And I think I speak for both Jason and I that, you know, a lot about our jobs is hard right now because of the circumstances, and it is stressful admissions time for us, but it's also really exciting to be able to see the next class of DCC students take shape. So if we do end up seeing you in the fall, if you are going to be part of DCC, we can't wait to get to know you even better. And thanks for making the time tonight to be here. And we really enjoyed being able to answer your questions to help you in this decision.
Thanks so much, guys. Thank you. So thank you all for joining us tonight again.